Hello, it's Beata
and Sarah
from BA Coaching and welcome to our lesson about should and ought to. We will start with a little quote from Alice in Wonderland to give you an idea what's coming. Where are you going?
Which way should I go?
That depends on where you are going.
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter which way you go. So we hope that you know where you are going because you are watching this video and you want to improve your English. You want to speak fluently and with confidence.
If you know where you're going, but don't know how to get there, you should ask for directions or advice. In that case, you will need the modal verb should or ought to.
So get your diary ready, grab a drink and a pen, and because this is an interactive lesson, we will ask you to pause the video and answer the questions. This is an interactive lesson. You can also use this opportunity to practice your pronunciation by repeating after Sarah and copying her intonation and expression. Advice for job seekers. Want or need a new job? When's the best time to start looking? Right now.
The following tips will help. You should tell all your friends that you are looking for a job. You shouldn't tell your boss about your job search. You should start looking for a job as soon as possible. You shouldn't wait. You should check that your CV is up to date, and you should apply for several jobs at once. Too busy at work to go to an interview? You should ask for interviews before 9 o'clock. Early morning interviews have fewer interruptions. You shouldn't take a lower paid job just to get work. If possible, you should ask for a job that matches your skills. Don't talk about salary and holidays too soon. You should wait. Talk about your skills first and learn about the job.
Thank you, Sarah. So we have given you some tips, but this is more about the language practice. So now we've got a question. Have a look at the tips and tell us when we use should. Pause the video and have a think. So hope you have come up with some answers. Let's see what we've got here with Sarah. So when do we use should? When you want to say that something is advisable, to say or ask what is the correct, good, or important thing for people to do.
For instance, you should get a new job. She should send her a card. When should I apply?
You also use should when you say that we know something is probable, likely, or expected. Here you use should because you feel it's logical or normal in the circumstances. Examples?
He's away, but he should be back tomorrow. It's expected. He said he would be back tomorrow, so that is because it's expected. My car should be ready tomorrow because the man at the garage said so. So it is likely, it is expected. We're spending the winter in Florida. That should be nice because it's always sunny in Florida. Therefore, it's normal in the circumstances.
Unlike in England. We are spending the summer in England.
With our
That
umbrellas.
should be nice.
With our umbrellas.
We often use think with should because should expresses a very personal opinion. So you will often see should, I think I should, or I don't think I should. And some examples?
It's late. I think I should go home now. I don't think you should work so hard. Do you think I should buy this bag?
Mm-hmm.
They're all very personal queries.
Mm-hmm. Good. So please pause the video if you need more time to think about this. Let's have a look at the forms now. Should is a modal verb. And before we give you the answers about how we form positive statements, negative statements and questions, we would like to ask you what you know about modal verbs. There are some things they have in common. What are they? So, modal verbs do not have S in the third person singular. And modal verbs, questions and negatives, are made without do. So just remember, okay? Because we will be doing more modal verbs. So how do we form positive statements? You have the subject, the pronoun, plus should, plus base form of verb. Examples.
You should learn English. He should buy it. They should tell him.
Negative statements. You have the subject, the pronoun, plus should, plus not, plus base of verb. So infinitive without to.
You shouldn't complain so much. She shouldn't smoke. He shouldn't tell his boss.
And questions, as we've said, you don't use do. So you put should plus the subject or the pronoun plus base form of verb. So it's quite easy, isn't it?
Should I apply? Should he tell them? Should they ring the police?
Thank you. So I think you should take a note and write something in your learning diaries. When we are talking about should, we need to mention ought to. So another way to say should is ought to. But ought to is less common. Do you agree?
Yes, I do, because I think it just isn't as easy to say ought to as opposed to just should.
So as you can see from the examples, we use it more in positive statements.
It's a good film. You ought to go and see it. Or you could say you should go. He ought to read the job ads. He should read. Would do just as well. You ought to see a dentist. You should see a dentist.
So the meaning is very similar, if not the same. Ought to and should in these examples. Now, some teachers or some textbooks will tell you that ought to is a modal verb. I tend to disagree. I think it's more like a semi-modal verb. So unlike modal verbs, it is followed by to, as you can see. But like modal verbs, the person does not change. So the subject is followed by ought to and then infinitive. So I would say it's more like a semi-modal verb. And as Sarah said, it's more used in positive statements and it's seldom used in questions and negatives. Do you agree?
Absolutely. To say oughtn't to is really too difficult. Takes too long. I don't think many English people would bother.
But if you see this, for example, you are doing an exam or you happen to see ought to, so then you will know then what it means and how you form questions, negatives and positive statements. We've come to the end of the lesson. Hope you have found it enjoyable and useful. If you have any problems, you should or ought to watch this video again. Please find us on social media, Instagram and Facebook for more practice and motivation. subscribe. It's free, and let us know what you think and how we can help you or how we can support you.
The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday.
So don't be the same, break average,
Be
be
awesome.
awesome.